Hey everyone, Innovators Mindset with Derek McCoy. There we go. Love it. Listen, I am like so excited. Derek actually on a Saturday, I wrote an email and I've been writing forever. And I've known Derek for a hugely long time, even though we were talking before, we've only maybe met once in person. But
Yeah. Yeah.
we've connected on social media for at least over a decade. And he said, "Hey, like basically like great email." I'm like, "You read my email?" So I was like, "You gotta be on my podcast." So I'm like pumped to have you, man. I haven't seen you in such a long time. And Derek is an absolutely incredible leader. He's in North Carolina. He's a principal. I'm just gonna ask him a few questions, because he's such a positive energy in the world of education and just in the world in general. So Derek, tell us who you are, what you do today, how you got there. Great place to start.
First of all, thanks for that, George. And yeah, it's amazing how connected we are, how small the world can be sometimes. But then we realize, hey, I haven't talked to my friend
Right.
in like 30 years, kind of thing, right? So
Right.
so it's the thing.
Yeah, just full disclosure, if you're watching on YouTube, Derek was making fun of me because we both got gray beards at the same time. So just want to give you a disclosure.
When,
So
when, when,
this is why you got on YouTube, so you can make fun of our
that's right.
graying in our beards.
When we first met, none of this silver, none of this
Right. I couldn't even grow a beard when we first met. That's how
silver.
long ago it was.
So I'm happy to introduce myself. My name is Derek McCoy. I'm the proud principal of Havelock Middle School here in North Carolina. I work in a great school system, Craven County Schools. Just I'm very happy and lucky to have joined them. They have a great mission about being student-centered. This is my 15th or 16th year being the principal. I'm all about the middle school. Just great things. And just like George said, we've been connected on social media. We've been in the same PLN
Mhm.
uh 10, 15 years, whatever. And I've been blessed to have contributed to some books, co-authored a book, The Revolution, It's Time to Power Change in Our School, with my good friend Darren L. Wayne. And yeah, just trying to live the mission to what we all aspire to do in making the lives of the students who need us the most.
I'm gonna ask you, and hey, everyone, check out the book, The Revolution, in the link down below. I'm gonna ask you some questions about that in a second. I always wonder this: why middle school? Like, why would you do middle school? And like, I have my reasons because I went there, but it was like
Yeah.
kicking and screaming at first. And it was amazing. Like I actually was like, there. I will teach elementary. I will teach high school. Over my dead body will I do middle school? Because I always thought about when was I the worst human being ever, and it was middle school. So like I don't want to deal with me, right? So like why middle school and like tell people why it's so awesome because I it is awesome. I loved it.
First,
Yeah.
first of all, I'm just shocked at um, it- George Couros written the awesome book of the century, Educator's Mindset, all about education, and then to hear your middle school phobic,
I
that's
was. I was. I was. Until I did it, right? And I think
right.
that was
That's-
the
and
misconception.
that's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. People hold on to the myth and the misconception that the 11, 12, 13, 14 year olds that they're ticking time bombs, and every day you walk in it's like what bomb are we ready to defuse, and what's going to go wrong? Really, when not really, when we get into it, middle school educators will tell you these kids are the best. These kids are the best.
Mhm.
We actually touch on this in our book. Our book is is middle school minded. In your and I hate to speak in generalizations, but to speak generally, in elementary school, our kids they're there and they take a lot of lead from their
Mhm.
teachers. And in high school, on the other end, they're they have figured out a good number of things, so they're looking to work alongside the adults there.
Mhm.
Let me have some good conversations so I can plan my next 5, 10 steps. Middle school is that awesome piece where if we're doing right and kids are coming to us with the right things, our kids are discovering on their own, and they're unlocking doors. They're starting to ask questions. they see what independence can be, and if we're helping them explore, then we're part of setting them on that path. The volatility, the hesitancy of the volatility is amusing every time I hear it. Very quickly, one of my favorite stories about this is my friend and I, John Bernia, we were we did the AMLE, we were co-keynoters,
Mm.
and in the airport, right, going to the airport, they flashed the banner, AMLE conference, blah 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 blah, educators welcome, whatever. And I started talking to the lady behind me. She's like, "Oh, middle school, ugh, there's just no way." I'm like, "You want to come to the school? We got great kids. Every middle school has that potential. That's what it is. That's
You
what
know,
it is."
like as I'm listening to you, one of the things I thought about is at that level, I felt for me personally as a kid, that's when I needed really great teachers because that like I felt so dependent, not in a way now like in elementary you're dependent, but in like a totally different
Right,
way.
right,
In high school, you're kind of like starting to go off on your own a little bit, but like middle school, you're like figuring stuff out, right? You are, and and so maybe that's why I was like terrified. I'm like, I don't know if I could
right.
deal with
That's
what
right.
I needed at that time, but
Right.
you feel that impact. The other thing I thought about, which is interesting, is really kind of how things shape up based on because I was like I'm in Canada when I'm teaching, and there was a K9, like I did K9 as a teacher, and then I did 712.
Hmm.
And the middle school kids in both were very different, right? Because one, they're like the older kids, and one,
Hmm.
they're like the little kids coming in. And it was
Hmm.
like kind of
Hmm.
interesting how it was like different, but they just always excelled. There was like some really uniqueness. The K9, they just really stepped up as leaders. There were such good interactions between the elementary kids and how really powerful, but they were like a little bit more timid in the high school.
Right.
But they all just wanted to know they were valued, and that's like every kid. So I love that. When we were talking about before some of the things that you might want to share, or one of the things that you connected with was being in the principal position after the pandemic,
Mm.
which I don't know if we should even talk about happening.
I know. I
It's
know. I
almost
know.
like we don't want to like no
I don't
acknowledge it.
want to jinx it. But yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like, exactly. I don't want it to happen again. So, what's been some of the things that you've been dealing with like since then? And like, would you say, because I know you're a principal before, right? Like, you've been a principal for a while. What's
Yes. Yes.
changed? What's changed in the practice? Somebody actually asked me this. Is like, do you think the principalship changed? I'm like, I don't know if I could say that because I don't know the role, but
Yeah.
you're the expert on this. So tell me, like, how has it changed since the pandemic?
I don't know about expert, but I'm very happy to offer my 2.8 cents on the matter. So yeah, a lot has changed. Let's start with the everyone's socialization got adjusted, and I'm gonna use
that's,
positive words here.
that's a good term. Got
That's
adjusted. I like that.
That's right. But but we often attribute that to kids, but it's also adults, our adults. And I think we're slowly emerging out of that adjusted phase, and we're getting back to really connecting with people, having good, meaningful conversations instead of it all being blurred out there or feeling like you're one screen amongst many.
Mm,
Uh, so
mm,
we're I think we're having to have a lot of conversations with people about how to deal with people effectively. So back in the day, we used to talk about effective teaching practices. Now it's also about effective people
mm,
practices, effective connecting practices. Um, I think about the adults in my school. So we are also a hard to staff school. So we have a lot of adults who are doing alternative licensure. Instead of coming straight out of college with a teaching degree and you're ready to be that middle
mm,
school math teacher, this, that, and other, you you have your degree and you're ready to, and and you might want to be a teacher, or you want to try that. We have a lot of teachers in that fit that bill, and we take it upon ourselves, and this is me, our assistant principal, Kelly Griffin, and our instructional coach, Abby Mickler. We talk so much about how to bring people up as good teaching our people who desire to be good teachers, teaching them to be good teachers. I
Mhm.
think that coaching part is very different now than it was, when we first met, when
Yeah.
we first connected. Is the principal's coaching skills has to be diverse, impactful, helpful, and it's a deeper wheelhouse. It's a deeper wheelhouse now.
You said something, and I don't know, trying to keep up with the kids.
Get it?
You said about the being one of many screens.
Mm.
There's a term I've heard being like you're chronically online. And it's like, I don't know, like, and it's some of the people that I see just kind of ranting online and
Right.
just going off. And then I meet them and they're like, and then there's this misperception. It's like, hey,
Yes.
like that actually, that does connect that, you might distance yourself because of like you believe some of the stuff that people say when they're not have to like dealing with your face, dealing with your emotion. And that's like I thought about that chronically online. It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Like the world is actually not what you are projecting right now. And
Right.
I see it, I'm like, oh, like you're like online and I see you like yelling and screaming all the time. But then when I meet you in person, you're like shy and timid. And,
Yeah.
and so, do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like it's like two
Yeah.
different personas. So it's kind
Yeah.
of interesting.
That's
Yeah,
not relegated to students.
yeah. Oh, I'm
That's
not talking. I
yeah.
didn't even
And
think
I know
about
you're not.
students.
That's right. I
Yeah,
wanted to highlight that point.
yeah,
That's not relegated to students. That's
yeah.
all of us are having to work out of
Mm,
something, and that's why when we're in classrooms, seeing it's more critical now that connection.
mm,
The most important, you know what Jimmy says, the most important things that we can focus on, the three most important things
mm,
we can focus on are relationships, relationships, relationships.
yeah.
That's why looking at that now through a critical lens, how can we make that more impactful? It's more important now than ever. It
Yeah.
it really is more important now than ever.
It really is one of the nicest compliments I receive is like, oh, you're kind of just the same guy you are online that you are in person. I'm like, yeah, but then
Imagine
but
that.
you're way
Imagine.
taller, but you're way taller. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm not just a head,
Yeah,
or a
that's right.
stick,
That's
right?
right. That's
So
right.
so that kind of throws people off. But yeah, like I think, and maybe that's because um we kind of connected like earlier in this stuff and it's like, hey, this is like who I am. Like you see, my dogs, that passed away, like obviously they're always a big part of my life. I share music I like,
Right. 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 Right.
sports, things I like that's who I am, right? That's so it is kind of an interesting thing. All right, so last question I got for you. You talked, you mentioned it briefly, but your book, The Revolution, you can see it again down in the link down below. One of the things that you talked about, and I think it's really important, is really about empowerment and how that's so crucial and something I'm really adamant about. So tell us a little bit about the book and that focus on empowerment and like what do you mean by that and like why is that so crucial to what we do in education?
Yeah. When Darren and I were first planning the book, Darren is a middle school principal in South Dakota. Very impactful principal. They're doing some great things. They do incredibly great things. But this we just started talking about what's great in his school, what's great in my school, the school I was at the time, and how we were growing things. And the commonality that came up was about both of us were we weren't we're not control heavy people.
Yeah,
We're not do this my way and that kind of thing. We believe in bringing the team together, uh, and then uplifting voices, and then making sure that people knew that we trusted them, valued them, and that we wanted them to have conversations, um, and discoveries so that they can lead those, bring those back to the group, and we could change our school. So so when in our conversations, we just learned that our commonality, our peace amongst us was about how we all have a mission to empower our teachers,
Mhm.
empower our students. Because then when we feel safe and when we create we one of the things that fosters an empowering mindset that we write about is creating a risk-taking environment. You know, once our teachers feel like that, they'll create that for our students. And then our students will want to embrace that voice and choice a whole lot more, dig into we talk about the creation and the innovation piece. You know,
Mhm.
we've never needed kids to just be the regurgitators
Mhm.
that we were as students. We need them to be authentically curious
Mhm.
about things so that they can build up those research skills, and then create something new. That's ultimately what we want and what we need. We want that creation of the new thing. So um, you're not going to get that by by being the teacher that you had, and that's something we say that's something that's kind of our mantra. Don't be the teacher you had as a student. Be the
Mhm.
revolutionary your students need.
I love
So
that.
so
Well,
that's where we are.
one of the things that really stuck out to me, what you just shared about this, is we want people to take risks and try different things. And it's really easy to say as an administrator when your job is kind of safe and you can fire people. But the thing that I always advocate is like you as an administrator have to model your learning openly. You have to show that you're willing to take risks because you can't ask people to do it and not do it yourself. And the reason I know you is because you're like, I'm gonna try some different things. I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna connect with other people. So you model exactly what you're asking from the people you serve. So that's why we've been connected for so long. And so I appreciate you. And I really thank you for the time. And now I'm gonna go buy some like just for men beard darkener so I get rid of this. Just what so next time you see me, you're like, what happened? I'm like, I'm aging backwards, man.
My
Just
man, I'm getting it's more silver here than anything.
it's
So now
blonde,
I'm
man. It's
gonna
blonde. It's blonde. Bleach, bleach in the Florida sun. Anyways, Derek, man, thanks for being on here. All the best. I hope we see each other in person sooner than later because it's been a while.
that's the other thing. Our time is we can't take our time and our
Hmm.
friendships for granted. You know, we got to make sure that we are deliberately reaching out to our people. So, man, this filled my heart. It was good to talk to
Ditto,
you.
man. I'm so glad you sent me an email because I was like, what? Derek McCoy reads my emails. I was like, pumped, man. I sent a message to you within like 5 minutes of getting that.
You
Like,
sure did. You sure did.
I was like, what?
And if you haven't subscribed to George's newsletter, you absolutely
I
should.
appreciate that, man.
The one that I responded to, you made a great connection about education. And I think that was one with resilience, or it was some
I
topic
know
like
it. I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm gonna share it. It is conquering imposter syndrome. That was the one we talked about.
yes,
Yeah.
imposter.
Right.
That's
And
right.
it was, and I was exactly what you talked about. I was like, hey, like, and you even said this before. I'm like, you're the expert. And you're like, I'm not an expert. I'm just sharing my learning, which is what I talked about in the email. So you like
Right.
embody that
Right.
too. So, anyways, thanks for Derek. Thanks everyone for listening. I hope you have a wonderful day. All right. Take
Have a
care.
great one.